At the end of the day, I'm here to help entrepreneurs design brands that guide them to seven-figure success. What's shaking, dude? What's going on, Awais?
What's going on, Henry? Excited for another podcast, man.
Yes, sir. Well, this is a live stream. There's a difference.
Oh, yeah.
Today, we're going to be talking about avoiding these 5 common sales funnel mistakes. I threw a couple extra in here because I thought that they were going to be very relevant, and I want to go through these in detail, and I just couldn't narrow it down to 5. So I had to add a couple of more. So there's a couple of things that I want to discuss when it comes to making these mistakes, because these mistakes have cost me thousands of dollars in lost revenues and time and energy. And I don't want you guys to make these same mistakes. So right after this quick little message, we're going to dive in and we're going to help you optimize your sales funnels so that you can start converting more leads and more sales for your business. All right, let's dive into this, shall we? So, Awais, what comes to mind when you're thinking of conversion on a website or funnel? What do you think one common mistake is that a lot of folks make when they're building out their funnels and websites?
I'm going to say too many steps.
Ooh, nice. Yes, that is one of them. And I put, there's too much friction in the funnel experience. Too many steps, too much to do, and they get lost. Right? Yeah. What if you were to simplify the number of actions it takes for your prospect to go from point A to point C? Think about the websites that you've been on in the past where you literally get lost. Yeah. Have you ever experienced that, Awais?
Every single time that I'm auditing a new client's website that has been struggling to convert, that's probably one of the first things that we look for is how many steps does it take for them to actually get to, if they're purchasing something from that particular website, or if that website is intended for lead generation, well, how many steps does it take for them to get to where they need to and actually say, let's move this conversation to the next level.
Right.
And yeah, so I mean, it's a common problem for websites that aren't necessarily built with the most professional in the most professional manner, or at least when the customer journey isn't really well thought out.
Exactly. And it's funny, coincidentally, I just had somebody on my podcast this morning that is an expert in customer experience. So I'll make sure that I let you guys know when that Brand Doctor podcast episode drops. It's probably going to be about a month from now. We're that far out, but she talked about that in detail. And I mean, man, we could do a whole stream on that alone. But to keep this video flowing, the next thing that I believe is a huge mistake when it comes to building your sales funnel is not driving enough people to it.
Yeah.
So notice what I did just before we got into the nitty-gritty here with that little minute promo. That is helping my audience get into my funnel. So every video that I produce on YouTube and every podcast that I drop, I'm promoting that masterclass. And that is the top of my funnel. And so with that said, what are some other ways that we can drive people to our funnel? Think about it.
Yeah.
Throw something at me.
We talked about this yesterday too, right? In our clubhouse session, where how are you actually gaining awareness for your funnel, and how are you actually driving people there? So you're a great example of that. I mean, you've got a podcast, right? And it's just really omnipresence across the board, being on social media, whether it be on LinkedIn, whether it be on Instagram, whether it be on Facebook. So creating awareness there and really going outside of your existing network and again, reaching out to those people and engaging with those people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And we have a listener from YouTube chiming in. How many steps is the optimal range when it comes to building out your funnel experience? I would say, Ian, less is more. If you can refine it down and chisel it down to 2 or 3 steps, you're winning. I was talking about this earlier, where in the beginning, when I started my diving into funnels and integrating them into my business, I thought I always needed an upsell, a downsell, a cross sell, a this sell, a that sell. And all it did was complicate things. And I'll be honest with you, I think I was doing that to overcompensate for what I knew and for the quality of service that I was delivering. I think that I was trying to overcompensate with all of that nonsense. When I cut all of that nonsense out and went to a 3-step process, the whole game changed. Masterclass, assessment, core offer. 1, 2, 3. It just made life easier on our end internally, but it also made our clients' lives a hell of a lot easier too. So Ian, if you can frame it out and then chisel it down to the least amount of steps possible, you're doing us all a favor. That's how I feel about that. That's how I feel about that. So let's get back to, and I encourage anybody that's watching live right now to drop some comments, drop some questions if you have it. We'll be here for another 20 minutes or so before I have to jump on a strategy call. But this is breaking it down when it comes to the common sales funnel mistakes that people use. So not driving enough people to it, right? So we talked about live streams. We talked about podcasts. We talked about, look at the collaborations that Oasis and I are doing right now.
Yeah.
Right. This is a great way to get more people into the funnel, is collaborating with other people. Clubhouse is a great way to drive people to your funnel.
That's right.
Right. We have Leon here that says some clients like to see a huge process to make their money's worth. How do you justify a 3-step funnel? It's very simple. It delivers. It doesn't need to be the this big grandiose thing.
Yeah. And you got to go back to your business strategy, and more importantly, like, what you want to gain out of that business, right? So you got to go back and take a look at those business goals and how a lengthy process might actually be hindering you achieving those goals. So again, I spoke briefly about this yesterday during our clubhouse session, where it's like, look, really visually map out as many things as possible, so that now you're able to really go in and say, okay, well, you know what, this might actually stand in our way. This might actually help us move forward.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if necessarily putting together a huge process is going to make people say, oh, well, this justifies the investment. I think what they're going to look at is, how can I get what I want in the least amount of effort?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. It's like that old saying, right? It's like that old saying, the plumber comes and he charges you 10 grand and he's there for 5 minutes. And you basically paid him for knowing exactly what pipe to change versus changing all the pipes. And like, that's the value right then and there. I screwed that one up. I screwed that one up totally. But that's it. And then the Picasso painting, right? It's 25 grand for the painting because you paid for his 25 years worth of experience, right? And it took him 5 minutes to do. Experience
and of course their expertise, whatever the knowledge that they have, right? At the end of the day, it reduced your risk, and it reduced the amount of time that you may have put in, and still ended up with a completely bad outcome and flooding your entire place with busting a wrong pipe, or with trying to change the wrong pipe in the wrong way, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's again, that's what we're here to do essentially every single time that we provide our services to our clients, right? And for anyone else that's coming in with their level of expertise, they're coming in to diagnose, they know exactly where to look versus their clients.
Exactly. And that's where the great investment comes in. That's where the ROI comes in. Is it could take me years to figure this out, or I could get this done in 90 days, 60 days, 30 days, whatever, right? That's where like I'm paying for the simplification.
Exactly.
I'm paying for the simplification. Okay, I got some others here, right? So we talked about too much friction in the funnel experience, so too many steps, too much to do. So reducing the number of actions you make them take is going to help you increase conversion. You're not driving enough people to it. And we gave some examples: live streams, collaborations, Clubhouse, paid ads, podcasts, tweets, things like that. How about testing variations of the landing page? So this is why I love ClickFunnels so much, because at a click of a button, I could clone the entire landing page and start adjusting different elements on the page one by one. So the one note that I want to make is, when you split test a landing page inside of your funnel, you don't want to change too many things at the same time, because you're never going to know what the variant was that made the increase or decrease in conversion. So changing headline first, letting that run, seeing what happens, then maybe changing button color, maybe changing an offer and seeing what offer is converting at a higher percentage. This is why I don't think there's enough testing. That you can never get enough testing, honestly, in my opinion. So we're constantly tweaking and fiddling with different elements of landing pages to help us.
Aesthetics. Sorry, I was saying aesthetics is one piece of it, and then the messaging, I think, is so integral. And of course, in the order that it might even show up, right? So I always find that to be something that is integral in terms of the way that things are communicated in the way that you're seeing it, like whether it be like, the top of the fold, and then as you're moving your way down, are you actually seeing, okay, have you actually related from a visitor's perspective, have them been able to relate with some of the pain points that you're articulating?
Right.
And is that actually guiding them through some sort of a solution to where they feel compelled enough to say, okay, well, you know what, let's go ahead and enter into this program and purchase this?
Yeah. And I've seen different, the other thing is we're just redoing our website right now currently. And I was looking at I'm actually going through each page right now, making sure we're the quality assurance is done correctly and things like that. And one of the things we found, and one of the reasons why we decided to redesign the website, is because structurally things weren't in the right places. And we saw improvement that could be made so that when somebody hits the site, they could go to this section and this section shows up before that section, right? And creating that experience and optimizing that experience was huge. So I love the way it came out. There's tons of little things that we need to tweak, but overall, I'm really happy with the restructuring of the website because it was overdue too. I mean, it was a 4-year-old website that needed some optimization. Yeah. So I'm happy that we were able to restructure that. But yeah, split testing and changing different elements of the landing page is very, very important. And we talked about changing headlines, changing offers, changing color. I know people, move towards different colors for many different reasons. How about this one? Horrible first impressions. Funnels get a bad rap, man. They really
they're unprofessionally built, right? So if someone's going in and going through that whole DIY sort of a process and slapping stuff together.
Yeah. I was on a podcast this morning and I was talking about, she was asking me the importance of branding regarding sales conversion. Like, how does branding help sales conversion? And I made this analogy and I said, imagine you and your wife or husband or boyfriend, girlfriend have been hearing about this restaurant for months. And you hear all these great things about it. And you finally get a reservation to get in this place. And the minute you walk in the door, you smell something funky. You notice that the place isn't clean. Now you're thinking, God knows what the bathroom looks like. And then you get through that, but you sit down and the experience, the wait staff is taking forever to get to you, and the list goes on. You see where I'm going here, right?
Yeah.
Are you ever going to frequent that restaurant again?
Probably not.
When it comes to making a first impression with your funnel, right? And that's from that, we're talking about an aesthetic standpoint there, but what about from a messaging standpoint?
Yeah. I was having this exact same conversation in terms of sales conversion, exact same conversation this morning with my team. And the way that I defined it was, if your messaging, particularly with your messaging, if your messaging is in line and there's a structure around that, and we've created a blueprint around it, that will inform all of your marketing tactics. That will also inform your sales teams across the board, because up till that point, they might be shooting from the hip and everyone's got a very inconsistent way of reaching out to customers, prospective customers, and articulating the value of their brand.
Yeah.
If that hasn't been structured in during the brand process.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to make those great first impressions. When I was listening to a great book, by the way, if you haven't gotten this book yet, it's called Power Questions. Power Questions. Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's a tight little read, and man, I could listen to that book over and over and over again. But what was funny was the chapter that I read this morning, or listened to, I should say. I'm a big Audible fan. Um, the the guy sits down with the woman that is a, works at the bank, and she wants his business, and she sits down. They have lunch, and she goes on and on and on about the trip she just went on, her grandchild, and this and that. Next thing you know, it's an hour, and the woman had not asked him anything about his life, his business, his finances, why he's using the bank that he's using, the what's important to him, so on and so forth. And he's like, she knows nothing about me, but I know a hell of a lot about her. And how has she helped me? Right? So I've been taking that into a lot of consideration lately, especially on Clubhouse, where at some points I was quick to speak up because I felt like I had to. Not anymore. Not anymore. Somebody brings me up, I'm listening. If I have something to say, it's probably going to be in the form of a question than me just spitting out advice arbitrarily, not knowing and understanding what that person is really going through. And that's the difference between somebody that is experienced and someone who isn't. And I found a really funny Instagram reel that I posted today. Always, I don't know if you saw it yet, but you are going to, I can't watch it without dying. You'll see which one I'm talking about.
Stream it on here, man. Stream it on here.
Yeah, I wish I could. But so horrible first impression, whether it's aesthetically, whether it's through messaging.
Yeah. And you mentioned the questions the other day during our live stream about funnels as well, where, again, asking questions is or at least having some sort of leading questions that enables the visitor to develop a story in their mind and really have a dialogue with you, rather than you just making it more of a one-way conversation, right? Oh, it's not a conversation if it's just a one-way sort of a monologue, right?
Right.
So when they, whether it be with your posts on social media, whether it be with your sales funnel, when they show up to your website or landing page, whatever it might be, having questions to create that sort of a dialogue and allowing for the visitor to really develop that story in their minds of where they're at, to question their current standing and where they want to be.
Yeah. Very, very important. Very important. This way you'll be able to, once you gather that information, and be able to deliver that back to them in a way that they can resonate with, because it's in their own voice. It's in their own language. So important. So important. I'm just being conscious of time.
Yeah.
I got 3 more steps. And I think the biggest mistake here of all is being unclear of who your audience is. I mean, we preach this from the mountaintops.
That's right.
Man, I wish I had, and I'm not saying this in a condescending way, but I wish I had $1 for everybody that said they needed a funnel. And then when I just asked them a few pointed questions, we realized that yes, indeed, they need a funnel, but they need to understand who the hell their audience is on a much deeper level before we can build that funnel. Because the woman before that had me on her show, she asked me, what's the difference between a good funnel and a bad funnel? And I said, a bad funnel doesn't deliver on its promise. It doesn't know who it's speaking to. And it has an offer that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
And so, man, if there's anything out of this list today that we're talking about, it's this one here. Dialing into who it is that you want to serve. And knowing how they like to consume information, and creating a funnel that allows them to consume it in the way they wish to consume it, and making it to the point, especially if you're going after, entrepreneurs or people that think fast and act fast. They don't need a 175-page dissertation on how cool you are or how good you are. They want a 1-page, 5-step. This is how it's going to help me, right? And then if they have more information, if they need more information, they're going to ask.
That's right. That's right.
Right. 2 more, and then we'll wrap up. One is your follow-up sucks. Your follow-up sucks. Now that they're in your funnel, what are you doing to follow up with them? Do you have an email sequence that is going out, and is that email sequence nurturing them the right way? I see a lot of people fall short of that. They gather a whole bunch of leads, but then nothing happens. So the follow-up is huge, and how you articulate that follow-up and nurture that follow-up is huge. And then last but not least, being too salesy too soon. There's a time and place to ask for the sale. If you're generating leads with your funnel, at least through my experience, the funnels that I've built, not only for clients, but for myself, that have done really, really well are the ones that deliver massive value up front. And then that allowing that time to go by to actually build a relationship with that person, and then guiding them to a purchasing decision. Those 3 steps have served me and my clients very, very well. If you're just patient enough to make that happen. See, again, funnels get the bad rap because everybody's like, that's all you need is a funnel and you could sell your pants off and you're going to make $1 million in 6 days. And, life is going to be Rolls Royces and Range Rovers. And, you never have to worry about a thing in your life again.
Well, those are the guys that are actually speaking to, those guys are the ones that have an effective funnel, right? Because they've actually created that entire messaging for that type of an audience.
Yeah. And as we know, the market is getting way more sophisticated these days.
That's right.
We're over the Lamborghinis and Land Rovers, and we just want the truth.
That's right.
So if your funnel can tell the truth, it's going to win.
Yeah.
It's going to win. Wow. We got right to that minute mark, man. Oh, man. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed Oase and I's conversation today about how to avoid these common sales funnel mistakes. Let us know in the comments below which one you're going to execute and implement first, as far as maybe adjusting some of that stuff inside of your funnel. And would love to hear your feedback. And don't forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, to hit that subscribe button and follow along our journey as we continue to provide as much value as we possibly can when it comes to digital marketing, sales funnel, branding, digital marketing, and funnel strategy and architecture. So have an amazing day, guys, and we'll catch you on the next episode real soon. Bye-bye.